Hi everyone, welcome to this week's ESO Live. Always CJ, always there to clap and cheer for us.
I'm here for you, Gina.
Gina Bruno, Assistant Community Manager for ESO.
And I'm Jessica Folsom, English Community Manager for ESO.
And
thank you so much for tuning in.
We were just talking about I don't really know how to intro this other than, well, here we are.
And thank you for tuning in and following us on Twitch. All of you who follow us, thank you very much. You can always see when we go live when you follow us on Twitch.
Indeed. Well,
you want to take a look at the outline?
We should look at the outline.
Okay.
Go over it real quick.
So first, we're going to start up with our official news section.
After that, we will get into our Fan Creations Showcase.
Then we're going to talk to Software Engineer David Leeper for Life at ZOS.
Then we will dive into the Ask Us Anything, where we've chosen questions from the forums, and we'll answer them.
Then we'll take a look at some of the ESO community events happening for the next week, so you know what you can do in-game if you want to hang out with other players.
And lastly, we're going to have our Alliance War Q&A with our lead PvP designer, Brian Wheeler. Very exciting.
And of course, giveaways through the show, as always.
Yes.
Yay, giveaways.
So let's go ahead and dive into the official news recap. We've got some new stuff, some old stuff to go over. So let's take a look.
When it's
All right, so we've had a lot going on over the last couple weeks, and we have more coming. So first off, Tamriel Unlimited, as all of you probably know, is now live. We're up to patch 2.0.2, which came out this week. 2.0.
Sorry.
So along with Tamriel Unlimited, the Crown Store went live. So now you can buy all sorts of little pets and mounts and costumes. Exciting stuff in there.
And we plan on updating it
every month.
Every
We
month.
will be doing a Crown Store update. We will be doing one in April, and we have a couple to show. Just some little things that are going to be included. So this is the Banekin, a little pet that will follow you around. A little creepy. Can we see something less creepy? Oh,
Aw.
look how sweet. I just want to boop his little nose. So these two pets will be available in April, along with a few other items. You can buy them.
Awesome. And crowns for all of you who already subscribed. All the crowns have now been distributed. So if you haven't checked, you should have a stockpile of crowns waiting for you.
We also distributed the striped Cinch Tiger to everyone that was eligible.
We have seen so many people riding around on those, even entire battalions running around.
I love watching all the videos where they're all just standing in a row and they all roar together.
Yep. We also recently, with patch 2.0.2, increased experience gains in Cyrodiil and in Trials. That's not the end of it, though. We are actually looking at increasing experience gains in addition, such as in dungeons.
We are.
We are.
We are. Man, I am just witty today.
The master of transitions.
I know, it's so embarrassing. So we know there's been a lot of discussion on the forums about lag. We've seen complaints about lag, not just in Cyrodiil, but also PvE areas and in dungeons. Don't really have any real news, but we are actively investigating it. We're going to put up a... I'm sorry, I see Wheeler in the background just making faces and crazy head. Stop it, Brian! Stop it! We are actively investigating the lag in PvE areas and in dungeons. I know some of you have said that you see it a lot in the daily dungeons. We'll likely put up a forum post pretty soon, just kind of listing out all the information that we would find especially helpful.
Yep, and our engineering team will dig into that once we get that information.
Faux show. XP potions is another thing that we've seen a lot on the forums. We do want to let you know that the screenshot that was posted, that was data mined, so that's okay if it's data mined, but it's not final. So we will be having XP potions at some point in the future in the Crown Store. We're still trying to work out exact details on what the stats are going to be, all that stuff.
Length, who can use it.
We will let you know.
So next up, We also made some important PvP improvements in patch 2.0.2. There is still more to come, of course, but we increased siege weapon damage against other player characters. Now, in addition to that, we also identified a bug where certain abilities and passives are increasing the siege weapon damage on top of the increase we made. That is not intended, and we are working on a fix. So after we release the fix, you will see a slight decrease in siege weapon damage. It'll go back to what we intended it to be. That has actually been in the game for a while. But with the recent increase and champion system passives, it became a lot more apparent. So those of you saying that you're getting hit for 40k damage by siege weapons, you're not imagining it. It is happening, and that will get fixed. We also increased trebuchet damage against keep walls. So that was another 2.02, and increased player character battle level stats, and also reduced guards damage and health. So we feel all of that has really helped. It's not the end though. There will be more improvements coming, and Brian Wheeler will be on the show to talk about it a little bit later.
Well, enough about what's already happened. Let's talk about what's happening. On Monday, we are going to be releasing patch 2.03. We are still kind of going through verifying all the fixes, but we have a couple that we can share with you. There's a Templar ability, Rite of Passage. That is actually now going to heal all player characters that have the lowest health in the area rather than anyone who's closest to the caster. Molten Whip, Dragon Knight ability. There was an issue where this ability wasn't providing the increased damage to Ardent Flame ability morphs that use stamina, so that will be fixed.
Yay!
For the champion system, in the Apprentice constellation, Spell Erosion, this passive was having a much lower effect than desired, so that will be fixed come Monday. They're also looking at potentially increasing XP that you get from Trials bosses.
Great.
So hopefully that'll make it into Monday as well.
Awesome. And recently we have had a couple new pieces of merchandise, ESO merchandise, come up for pre-sale. We have the Bull Netch plush, which you guys have seen us wearing on our heads off and on the show. And we've also had the Tales of Tamriel Volume 1, the Land Book, which is a collection of stories from the game and a lot of really nice looking art that you can see here. It's got sections for each of the alliances. It's very nice.
That's pretty cool.
That is also available for pre-order on the Bethesda store.
You know, just in case it wasn't clear, we do have more than just those fixes going into 2.03. That was just a couple little teasers.
Those are some that have been absolutely verified by QA and are definitely going in, and they're working on verifying others.
Right. You know, just in case.
It's not just 3.
Lastly, we did put up a blog today on our website. There's going to be an art exhibit at a local college here in Maryland, CCBC, down in Essex. If you're local, we'd love to see you. It kicks off today. There's going to be an opening reception at 6 o'clock p.m. and also an art panel featuring some of our artists here that worked on ESO at 8 o'clock p.m. On the screen, well, there it goes. Well, what you saw were, there it is again. These are a couple of things from Rothgard. These will be on exhibit. This is Orsinium, and the other one was, you know, just a cool screen with some nice lighting. I actually am not sure what.
It's part of Rothgard too. Yeah.
So if you're local, this will be running until, I believe, May 15th.
I know it's May.
May something.
I don't remember
Check
the
the
date.
website. So that about wraps up all of our news. Coming up next, we're going to dive into some fan creations. Okay, so as usual, we are going to just kind of glance at some of our favorite art pieces from the past couple weeks. This first one is from Isriana, who has done so many art pieces for us. This one is titled Springtime in Old Stros Mackay. This was originally supposed to be a simple speed painting of Stros Mackay, but then apparently Ezriana was reminded of a song in Skyrim that she likes to hum occasionally, and she started elaborating, and it turned into this wonderful work of art.
It's very pretty. It's definitely a red guard.
Yeah, this is a red guard lady enjoying a nice spring evening on the shores.
This is La Coste by Theme Finland on DeviantArt. And Theme Finland says that this is a commissioned piece for the player, oh boy,
Oh, good luck with that.
Nygalt, featuring their Argonian character La Coste, sharpening his daggers on a cliff.
That's where I usually like to sharpen my daggers, is hanging off of the edge of a cliff. So here is Free at Last from Teller123 on
love this.
DeviantArt. Now this is from our cinematic trailer, the last one. Oops, spoiler alert. The the artist really liked the Breton especially, really liked his emotions on the face and the stylish armor, and he really was touched by this tragic moment. So if you haven't seen the end yet, well, this is
You
what
should go
happens.
watch it. This one is titled Gore Love
I love this.
by Kayamel on DeviantArt. It's very cute. So this was created by artist Kai from the United Kingdom. It looks like this is her Dunmer character with her beloved Gore mount.
This should be an idol in the game. If you have a Gore mount, you just kind of do this if you're standing around for too long.
Rest your chin on their head.
Next we have Coronis Portrait. Well, you see the name who wrote it here. I'm not going to try.
And folk.
And folk?
Let's stick with that.
Folkway, maybe? This is a portrait of his Bosmer character, Coronis Greenshade. Very nice.
It's some big
Oh
antlers.
man, that's very Borat of me. Very nice.
This is two images. Player character and Nord are the titles by Mr. Kelzak on DeviantArt. And this is, like it says, a portrait of the player's two characters in black and white.
He looks really
I love the
mad.
beard. I love the beard.
Here we have a commission piece, Ebb and Wind, by Katsura. This is Ebb and Wind's in-game character, Creamy? Crimey?
Crimey? Yeah.
Either way. We've actually featured pieces from that artist too, I think, right?
I think
Unless
so.
there's just a lot of commission pieces going around.
It's very cute. And this is our last piece. This is Harlwister. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name, Harlwister. Sorry. Ilthar? Sorry. So this is a commissioned piece for the player of Elven by Iced Wings Art, who we've definitely featured before. Artist's name is Kolsnikova Olga from Russia.
Wow, nice. Did you practice that?
No, I can do Russian better than I can do character names, apparently.
All right, well, I think it's time for our first giveaway.
Yay!
Totally forgot what the name was going to be. So we're going to be giving away a mud crab plushie,
This guy?
a sealed
on your
one.
head.
Put it on my head?
Put it on your head.
Okay.
There it is.
Yep. There it is on my head.
So
The
the
chat room rejoices.
the key word is going to be crabby, like, I don't know, Krabby Patty, right?
This guy's very squishy.
With a C.
What kind of patty was talking
Who is that talking?
It's with a C and a Y and an R and some P's. Anyway, I don't see anyone saying crabby. There we go. They're starting. Oh, they're all saying head crab. Funny. All right, so type
Nice.
crabby into chat, and you might win your very own mud crab plush. And this guy comes with an in-game pet, right?
Yep. And that disembodied voice you heard is our Life at Sauce guest, who you will meet in a bit.
Is this mic even on?
His mic is on. Go ahead.
Oh.
Say hi.
Oh, hey. You can't see me, but hello. Hey!
Crabby, crabby, crabby. Okay, let's see if we can get a winner. It is Choo Choo Mouse.
That is a great name.
Lovely.
Choo Choo
I
Mouse.
almost feel like they do this on purpose, just so we can say it out loud. Well, congratulations, Choo Choo Mouse. Jason will be in touch with you on Twitch chat. If you're not following us, it'll likely go into your other folder. So check all of them.
All right,
Well-
so next, as promised, our Life at ZOS segment, and we will meet who this mysterious gentleman is next to us. All right, so we have with us today David Leeper, and
David
you are
Leeper.
a software engineer here at ZOS.
Yep.
As a reminder, we will be taking questions for him after his short Q&A, so if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will grab some for him. So, welcome.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. Love your shirt.
Thank you. Yeah.
What
Chat
does the
loves your
bottom- what
shirt,
does the bottom
too.
say?
This is your welcome.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you,
Christmas
what you,
decorating
yeah,
Yeah.
cats definitely do that. Anybody who's had a cat knows. So what is your current role at ZOS and what do you do?
So my current role, and basically what's been my role the whole time I've been here, is to work on systems that you would see before you get into the game. So something that you guys have all seen is the installer. I had a pretty big hand in that. It was myself and one other person wrote pretty much all the code that went into the installer. The launcher, the original one, if we have any beta players here, I wrote that pretty much by myself. We used a vendor back end, and then I was alone. That was a team of one. But thankfully, by the time we got closer to launch, and in the probably 8 or so months leading up to it, my team was expanded
Yay.
to 3.
Woo!
So now we have a front end guy, which is why things look so nice, and a more experienced back end guy to join me on the coding side. I also do a lot of work with the patches and build systems involving getting those patches out the door. It may not sound like a lot, but when you think about it, we're in the studio testing things long before they get to you. And that chain of testing and promotion is about 8 steps long. So there's a lot of patching to manage there, and that's basically what I do.
So how did you first break into the industry and end up here at ZOS?
That is probably my absolute favorite story to tell, because I love telling people that I work in gaming, right? And then they're like, oh, how did you get the job? So my dad works a couple blocks up the road, and he'll walk on his lunches. He'll go down, there's a grocery store down across the street.
You can say it,
and
it's Wegmans.
It's Wegmans,
And it's
yeah, yeah.
wonderful.
Well, I just, So it's Wegmans down the street. And he was walking at lunch when I was a junior at college. And he called me up and he said, real quick, send me your resume. I was like, all right, why? He says, well, I was walking and I found this badge, the ID badge, to this person, and I looked her up, and she works at this company, ZeniMax, and I was like, what? It turns out he found the ID badge for the head of recruiting here at ZeniMax back way pre-beta. And this was in 2011. So I sent him my resume, and she came to pick up the badge. Gave her a call, said, hey, I have your badge. She comes to pick up her badge from my father, and he's like, oh yeah, my son's a gamer, I saw you work in gaming. And she's like, oh God, I have to listen to this guy talk about
One of these.
his 12-year-old kid playing COD. And he says, no, actually, he's looking for internships. Here's his resume, which of course is a great way to get your foot in the door. So they brought me in. It happened to be near spring break. It was like March. So I came back from school, went to Penn State. But I just live across the border here into Maryland, and came back, interviewed. It went really well. Brought me on for the summer, and that's all she wrote. I was here for the next summer as well, and it went so well that the head of the studio, the big boss, Firer himself, asked if he could convince me to stay. And I said, yeah, I don't think you'll have too much trouble with it.
you don't have to say anything. It's funny. I'm pretty sure I ran into your mom at Bed Bath & Beyond one time years ago. And I was wearing a ZOS sweatshirt, and she was like, oh, do you work at ZeniMax? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, my son used to intern there, and he loved it so much.
That sounds like,
well, here you
hopefully
are.
she's watching, too. So
Aw,
hi,
hi,
Mom.
Mom.
So,
All right. That is an awesome story.
Yeah, it's
so
pretty
that is a
insane.
very unusual getting into the industry leap.
yeah, well, so
Wow.
it's tough because like a lot of people ask me like, oh, you work in gaming, it's so great. Like, how can I get in? It's like, every person I've talked to, there's some luck. There's gonna have to be some luck. But there are ways to set yourself up to do better, to have a better chance. And it's basically like this. Game design is tough. Lots of people want to be designers. But the gate for most people in getting into design, I found, has been QA. Like my roommate is a QA tester. He was an intern here, and now he's a full QA tester at another studio. And the idea would be that then he could parlay that experience and some of his freelance design work into a design job. That's tough. You have to do a lot of jumping around and having the right opportunities. I got much luckier because it turns out it's very hard to staff engineers.
Yes.
If you can program, it's a good
You're
bet
golden.
that there's a game studio
Yeah.
somewhere, that is interested in you. And you got to be able to pull your weight. This is not, I won't name a bank, but I worked somewhere at a bank as an intern. I did more in my first 3 weeks here than in 3 months there.
Wow.
I'll put it that way. So you're not going to be sitting around, but it is some of the most entertaining, challenging, fantastic work to do. It's just a matter of getting that luck, getting the foot in the door, and having the technical ability. And I actually ran into one of our recruiters earlier, and I would be remiss if I didn't give Rob Ector a shout out. And he said that you should email him if you're an engineer and you can program, especially C++. Rob Ector. He told me to say email him. So if you're a programmer and you can do C++, we're looking for game programmers. He wanted me to transfer to the game side. I said, that's going to be
Funny.
tough.
Mine
Wow.
was luck too, getting in. I don't know if yours was only based on luck.
No.
Oh, well.
It was working up through CS. So you mentioned the installer. What else have you worked on here at ZOS?
Oh man, so when I first started, things were very bare bones. So I started in 2011, and that was right when they were getting started ramping up what's called the platform side. So basically, you could think of the game as being split in two, right? There's the part that you guys have at home that you play, and then there's our back-end stuff, including the website, the account system, all of that. There's a lot that goes into that. Again, it's not something you really think about a lot, but that system, I got to write the very first iteration of that. The very, very first system that allowed you to open the game, log in to an account, have that account be saved with your name and your permissions and your characters, as well as telling you whether or not the realms were up. I actually got to write that. Now, none of that code exists anymore. They wouldn't just leave an intern's code in there. That was, like I said, 3-4 years ago. But it was fun because there were so few of us there just getting started. We got to really get in there, and I learned so many things, groovy on Rails, and then
What?
we got, it's a language. It's a language system. So Ruby on Rails is a pretty
I
common
thought you
one.
said
Okay.
groovy.
I did, because that's another system. Groovy on Rails was a Java on Rails framework, and it was the first thing we used. So it's things
Not a
I had never
programmer.
heard of. It sounds like I'm like, throwing out these things. I had never heard of them either. These days, I do most of my work in Python, C. I do scripting. I do all kinds of different languages. In fact, I'll do custom Unix shell scripting. I do Java. The installer is written mostly in Java. If you guys have seen that, there's flexibility with learning different languages is pretty
Wow.
much a big deal.
Programming languages.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
wow.
I can't speak Russian or
No?
anything. No,
Oh,
I don't.
Okay.
I see what you did there.
Yep.
So, what's been the best day ever?
So, that's tough. So, there have been a couple of really good days here. I'm not gonna lie. This is one of those situations where you do a job you love and you're never really working. It's like that. There are very few days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to go to work, because why wouldn't I? We have once a quarter when we put out major releases. We haven't so much lately, but back especially when we were pre-launch, every quarter on the dot were these big release parties. We put out a big release, and we would say, look, this is all we did in this quarter. It would be videos of everything that's been done, big gatherings of the whole studio, and those were pretty sweet parties, and a lot of those were awesome. Our holiday parties are pretty good, but what really sticks out for me is, you guys know that when a game gets on the shelf, it has to have been sent somewhere to get copied, right? Albums, video games, whatever. It's got to get copied and boxed and distributed. So months and months before that happens, and in our case, sometime in early, I want to say February, preparing for April launch, we were getting everything ready to be sent out for replication. That's called the mastering process. So it was Gold Master is what it's called. It's the actual discs that get sent out to be made into the boxes and discs that you guys have at home. That was one of the most adventurous things I have ever done. I think I spent 4 nights at the studio in 2 weeks of working on it. It was right around the Super Bowl, so whenever that was, because I remember I got called during the Super Bowl to come in. As a lifetime Ravens fan, I wasn't interested anyway, but, you know, Broncos, whatever. Like I said, this was before launch, not this past week. But, so I got to do some gold mastering, and the true adventure there was working with our director of QA, Michael Craighead. Now, he is an industry just giant, and he's been around, you know, in gaming for ages and worked on a bunch of awesome titles. He carries a lot of respect. He's seen as sort of a serious guy around here, but
No.
I tell you what, working with him, you know, it's like 2 in the morning. We've been there for 12, 16 hours, whatever, and we're just trying to get built and just hanging out with him and hearing his stories of, yeah, one time I was gold mastering and I got a chair thrown at me by an angry developer who wouldn't listen to me that I said this bug, you know, can't pass.
Oh my God.
So,
Wow.
I think to myself as I'm young, so I'm very like passionate. I have to get stuff done and very, you know, angry. I have this reputation, and yet I was like, I feel like I'm an angry dude. And he's like, you haven't thrown anything at me yet. You're fine. That was nice. So to this day, Michael Craighead will occasionally call me young hero or something like that, just from the, you know, our adventures stuck here overnight with just us and our testers. And oh man, our old producer Trey Carrington, that guy was just awesome. He was such a character. That's another thing about, you know, here, I'll go ahead and ask, because I know that's the next question anyway.
Ask, I dare you.
What's your favorite part of the job here?
Okay, so I really like the people that I work with. So Gina has been around forever. Like we've been, you know, working together since the beginning. Back when you were office admin?
Office manager.
Office manager,
That
yeah.
was years ago now.
Years and years ago when she was office manager. I remember you training like the new office manager who's our office manager now, and just all the awesome people. So I play a lot of, when we get a chance at lunch, we do tabletop gaming. There's a regular group, James Lau and his wife Mandy, who they just had a new little baby. Congratulations, guys. So Mandy's not here at the moment, but they're awesome and we do a lot of gaming. My favorite QA guy who hassles me about stuff being broken, Scott Brenner. My partner in Austin who does the install work with me, I said it was a team of 3, a front-end guy and somebody with me. Well, that's James Haggerty. He's great.
Are you accepting an Oscar?
No, I know. The people that I work with are fantastic. So that's probably my favorite. Yeah, thank you. CJ, just...
CJ will actually be at the art thing tonight, right?
We're getting you on the show soon.
He's been on the
He
show.
was already on the show.
Yeah, yeah.
I watched the show with him on it, actually, in preparation for today.
So, Leeper, I just want to say, somebody said they don't like you, they love you. And somebody wants a plush of you, like they're just eating you up.
That's fantastic.
Was that his mom?
It was
I don't-
probably my mom. My mom would want like a Dwight bobblehead of me.
That's awesome. You already kind of touched on some advice for if people want to get into the industry. Basically, just find a lost badge, right?
Well, yeah. So, like I said, luck is a huge part of it. But you know, if you're into math at all, and you think you have a shot, or maybe even you just worked on a family computer when you were a kid, I'll be honest. I didn't learn a word of programming until I was a freshman in college. All I did was debug the family computer when it broke. I would, you know, fix installations of software or tell my parents never to use Internet Explorer again. Sorry, Internet Exploder again. Things like that. Just, I never tried to program. And then I went to college and I met, you know, my college roommate who had programmed some in high school. And through my first semester, you know, C++ course and him and my math background, things eventually sort of clicked. It took some time, but, you know, you never know what you can do until you really try to put your skills to work. So, you know, don't be intimidated if you've never programmed before. I hadn't, so I went for it, and 3 years later, ended up here. And now 3 years later even, I'm here on this couch. So.
That's awesome. So last question, at least from us. What are you currently working on, if you can tell us?
Okay, so I can talk a little bit about what I'm working on now. In fact, this leads to another thing that's pretty cool about working here. So we...
Is it the snacks?
Oh, the snacks are good. We get like free food, everything. I've gained
snacks.
like 40 pounds since starting this job. Like, not even kidding. Oh, there's also a free gym though, which my dad and I work out at 3 times a week, or else I would probably have gained even more weight. So what was I got sidetracked? What
It's
was
okay.
it? Oh
What
yeah,
you're
yeah.
working
what I'm
on
working on.
currently.
So Steam is basically the big push right now. So we went to the Tamriel Unlimited stuff, right? All the new branding and the new subscription system and all of that. And one of the things I got to do last week, I believe, when we actually released that, was sit in a war room. And that is as cool as it sounds. And basically what it is it's a bunch of developers and directors and producers and people who just can direct the firepower where it needs to go, sitting in and saying, okay, we're going to push the button to send everything live, go. And then seeing what breaks, right? Obviously things have been tested beforehand, so not a lot breaks. But when it does, it feels like there's a lot of graphs and charts and cool stuff like that up there. And then you get to be like, okay, one time right at launch, for example, we broke the entirety of the French language in the installer, or in the launcher, and I got to be like on the firing, like, okay, go. You need to fix the French thing, like, as fast as you can, do it. And I managed to get it fixed. I found like a junk character that didn't belong, and people were like, what? How did you find? And just, you feel really good when you can solve an issue that's directly affecting people. And somebody with 10 years more experience than you is going, how did you find this one character that was invisible?
You're like, oh, I'm just amazing.
Well, that's another, actually. My first boss when I got here, Justin Randall, more Oscar speech exceptions. Someone else I definitely need to thank. Justin Randall, another giant in the industry. I love that man. I could not be here without him. He was my first boss when I was an intern. He was the one who, every time I would get frustrated at a problem and just throw my hands up and say, I can't do this, if I could swear here. But he would sit me down and be like, look, you can handle this. Let's work through it, see what's going on. And one day, he was always a big believer in code reviews. And so one day he called me and he was like, he wrote a regular expression, a regex. And he was like, I think this is fine. Just one little line of slash letter character. And he's like, just look at it for me. And I found 3 bugs in one line. I think he did it on purpose. But I found 3 bugs in one line. And he was like, there you go, man. And so I'll never forget that. Just him being like, look,
Set for life.
You can handle it, man. Like, that's the thing, man. You never know. Until somebody pushes you to really live up to what you can do, you never quite know what you can do. So that's somebody I need to definitely look after.
All right, so we have some questions.
Well, they all want you to give away your shirt, for one.
Oh, so I actually wore this in hopes that people would be like, oh, what is that? It was between this and Catbug. So know that all the Pendleton Ward fans out there, I almost did the Catbug, but again, all the weight, it's a little tight. It's a fit. This is from a place called Turtle Tees, I believe. It just started showing up.
Shirts there.
Yeah,
It just started showing up in my Facebook feed one day. I don't know why. They thought I would like cute shirts, I guess.
I think it's T-Turtle, right?
T-Turtle, yeah, that's it. And they mostly do like gaming and nerdy themed stuff. This was one of the sort of unthemed ones, but I mean, come on.
It's cute.
It's a cat. They can't. A cat bug and,
So somebody was asking if you get crash reports. I don't think that's you, right?
So I don't get them directly, but what will happen is if something bad is going on. So crash reports from the game are not something that I touch because I'm not on the game side. Like I said, I'm everything before the game. But when people are having trouble getting into the game, patcher errors, downloading errors, things like that, what will happen is Gina will get a bunch of stuff from the forums and flash me an email and say, Dave, we're getting a bunch of errors on live, what's happening? Leeper, we're getting a bunch of, yeah, right?
I actually forget your name is David.
Yeah, there's so many Davids at the studio, we all go by our last name, so I'm Leeper around here. So I'll get an email from her saying, things are broken on live, and then that's what we go for. So the forums are pretty much the best tool for when you're getting trouble before, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you can't report it in game.
I don't want to say that, and then the social community is like, don't say that! But okay, the forums then, is that's where they'll see it and then send it my way, because usually I'm developing, so I'm not looking at the forums.
Now, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, how players would really love to start downloading patches sooner.
Right.
Is that something that you think we could have sometime in the future if we ask nicely?
Can
that,
have?
that is a technological
have-
issue. It's due to the back-end vendor we use for our patching solution. It's something that they support, though. It's just to do with where priorities have been as far as getting launch out and then post-launch, getting things stabilized. But it's definitely in our backline or backline.
Backlog?
I combined backlog and pipeline.
Close enough.
It's in the backlog, which is like it's our pipeline of work. So it is something that we're looking at. We'll let you guys know for sure when that's coming. I can't give you a specific time or anything, but it is something we're looking at is pre-patching. And then related to that, I know we talked about also is download speeds. So I can actually speak a little bit to that. The number one reason that our download speeds are not as fast as we would like is actually just due to the infrastructure, internet backbone that is in the United States. And the reason that I can say that is because I'm willing to bet that our EU people here have an average download speed much faster than our US ones, due simply to the distribution network and the country they live. So we actually employ 2 content distribution networks on the back end to distribute patches to you guys, and then a middleman service that takes, when you guys boot up and get a patch and get ready to download, it actually pings out to a URL and says, hey, what is the fastest server available? And it'll query both server sets in your local area and hit one or the other depending on which one will give you the fastest download. So we actually do have a system in place of 2, and they're 2 of the biggest providers of content distribution in the country. So that's just kind of the network and the way it stands. These guys aren't exactly capped for bandwidth. It's just the middleman networks they have to run through to get to you guys. This country, internet. It's a sad time. We rank like 16th in internet in the world is like in the United States. Like, really? But yeah, that's how it is, sadly.
Erlex, frequent streamer Erlex, was asking what your favorite tabletop game is and what you usually play at lunch.
Oh, okay. So I believe the game I just started playing with them is called 7 Wonders, and that's pretty fantastic, and that's my favorite. Our number 1 game at lunch is probably Werewolves, as in Werewolves of Miller's Hollow.
Oh, I played
But we just
that
call
one.
it Werewolves.
Yeah, that one's fun.
But I think I like the 7 Wonders more. But I'm kind of a Trekkie. I like both Star Trek and Star Wars, so I won't get into that. But I'm kind of a Trekkie, and I do the Star Trek Attack Wing stuff. So I've got a pretty substantial collection of Star Trek Attack Wing. That's probably my favorite. It was enough of a favorite that I went and bought the stuff myself. So that with James Lau, of course.
Templars of Doom ESO was asking if you wanted to get into coding, what is the best way to get into it at a beginner level?
So there's a lot of different schools of thought when it comes to that. And I recently read an article that posed a couple of those schools, and then one of them lined up with what I think. If I had to do it all over, I wouldn't start with C++. And then I wouldn't transition to Java. Because they are very, very, very particular, persnickety sort of languages. The way I always tell the story is this. If I wrote 100 lines of C++, I would compile it. It would have 3 bugs, like 3 compiler bugs or whatever, and then I'd fix those, and there'd be one more, and then there'd be a warning, and then maybe it would work. If I wrote 100 lines of Java, there would be 1 bug, and then I'd fix it, and it would work. If I wrote 100 lines of Python, A, I'm doing something wrong, but B, it would just work, right? Because you can do so much in such a smaller amount of time. I would recommend a more obfuscated language. By obfuscated, what I mean is less in touch with the computer memory, less down deep in the actual hardware. Like, C++ is not a particularly deep language, but none of the memory information is obfuscated from it. You can get and dig into pointers and get into the back end of whatever structures that you put together. I would recommend starting somewhere simpler. I would say start with Python, start with JavaScript. In fact, there is a lot of really good JavaScript tutorial stuff online. And if you really want to get into what's sort of big right now, I'm hearing a lot of things about Ruby, and I've actually written some Ruby on Rails and can state that yeah, that's pretty easy and it's a pretty decent place to start. I would start somewhere high level would be my best recommendation. I'd say JavaScript. Personal favorite is Python, but whatever works for you.
Before getting into college, is there any like free options for people who want to tinker around with it?
Oh, there's an absolute ton. Well, most of the programming language development kits, SDKs, software development kits, and then compiling programs and IDEs, development environments, are free to begin with. I mean, NetBeans works with Java, JavaScript, things like that, and then I think there's like add-ons for all kinds of other stuff. Aptana is another free one that you can get that works with Ruby and things like that. Python itself, that's just free, and you don't need to compile it with anything. You just run it on things. So if you can get yourself a SDK of Python, in fact, one of the first challenges you can have in learning to work with computer software and computer science and programming is getting those SDKs set up, because that's not easy. You download something and it's like, oh, here, get this, and then it'll work, and then it doesn't, and you have to link things in your path and set up how it's compiling, and not in the case of Python, but it has to know what Python is and things like that. So as far as like free stuff, it's kind of all free.
Okay.
There's not really anything you have to pay for until you get into enterprise level studios and like the Visual Studio subscription that the entirety of Bethesda has and things like that. Mostly it's all free, and like there's like a website, I think it's C++ all spelled out like that is one of the websites that I've used, and there's a JavaScript one, it's like maybe Code Academy?
Yeah, I've heard of Code Academy.
Yeah, but every time I Google because inevitably I don't remember all the functions for all the languages, like, oh, give me all the string functions for JavaScript. Like if I typed string functions JavaScript into Google, there's a website, and the theming of the website is lime green, and it will allow you to code examples on the site live and then see what they do. And that's what I've used anytime I need to look things up. So you'll know what I mean when you see it. It's just like a lime green. I didn't prepare. I didn't.
No, it's okay.
But,
This is all very good for
yeah.
people who are interested in trying it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that just about wraps it up. So
Cool.
thank you so much for joining us. You had
Yeah,
tons of
it's good to be
information.
here.
I think that was the most...
I hope it wasn't overwhelming, like
No,
too much.
I think that was the most exciting explanation of programming and engineering I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's not a very exciting subject. That's kind of the problem, where it's like, so tell me about the exciting things of gaming. Like, well, I program the back end of the launcher. So I do what I can, though. And just real quick, I know I already said hi, but hi, Mom, love you. And hey, Colton, if you're watching, what's up, buddy?
Every time you say that, everyone in chat starts saying, hi, Mom. So. Well, thanks again for joining
Yes,
us.
thank
And
you.
It's good to be
sure
here.
we'll have you again sometime.
I'd love to.
Well, coming up next, we are going to get into our Ask Us Anything. Oh, we're over here now. We're going to get into our Ask Us Anything segment. I guess. Brian cut me off. So this segment, again, is questions that everyone posted on the forums in the special Ask Us Anything forum thread. We've pulled out a few questions for this week, and now we're going to answer them. So the first question is from Kura Gregui.
You guys with your names.
Your names. Well, they were asking, where will we be able to buy subscriptions and crowns for console? Will we be able to buy from PSN and Xbox Live, or only from ZOS? Will we be able to get console subs at launch or sometime after? Well, the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game are going to be fully integrated console experiences. So this includes utilizing the PlayStation Store and the Xbox Marketplace for the sale of ESO Plus memberships and crowns, and these will all be available at launch, June 9th.
Awesome. All right, this next one is from Anna Zazi. Can we please see a VR14 version of the Soulshine set? So one of the gameplay team's primary focuses will be creating new sets, as well as creating high-level versions of some of the older sets. It is something they are working on now. This list isn't 100% finalized yet, but we do plan on giving players lots of cool options for high-level play.
All right, the next question is from Kiani Meyer asking, oh man, I keep saying we
People
talked
are
about
drinking,
this
aren't
beforehand.
they?
That's the secret word. Is that was going to be dangerous. Anyway, this question is, will there be an option to allow other players to ride your mount with you? Our current mounts are... Really?
All the guys are giggling
They're all
behind
giggling
screen.
in the back. Our current mounts are built to accommodate only one player. I can't even say this with a straight face now. And we don't actually have any plans to support additional riders at this time. Thank you, Wheeler.
Not my fault.
This next question is from Ash Tall. We're all aware that for a normal player playing a few hours a week, Alliance ranks take years to get. Can we make them account-wide so players who play alts are not forced to take the same character every day because otherwise their ranks are split across multiple characters and they're at a disadvantage? We mentioned last time that Alliance ranks are meant to take a long time to level. However, the idea of making them account-wide is something we're investigating. It will require some time to implement, though, if we decide to go that route.
All right, this question is from Nazir. By drop rate, what is the rarest possible item in the entire game? Well, it is the full Dwemer racial motive style... Motive? Did I really just say that? Motif. Motif style book titled Racial Motifs 15 Dwemer. Not the individual chapters, but the single book that teaches you all of the chapter knowledge at once. So it does exist, but it's very, very rare.
That makes sense. I don't think I've ever seen that for sale in any guild store
Now
ever.
everyone's going to be looking for it.
Yeah. This next question is by Shadow. Is there any hope in getting the time spent in werewolf form looked at? I don't just mean for staying in combat to sustain it. I mean turning the ultimate into a toggle and allowing us to transform at will and remain in wolf form while outside of combat, running around Tamriel, turning in quests and exploring, looting, while still being able to remain in beast form. We're currently pretty happy with how the werewolf is playing based on improvements from update 6? Yeah, update 6.
Yep.
Notably the fact that Blood Rage passive allows you to stay in werewolf form for a very long time while being active in combat and taking damage. But that said, we will definitely continue to evaluate the gameplay of the werewolf and consider all suggestions.
This next question is from Timid Observer, asking, with the changes in Update 6 to stat caps, much of the endgame gear and crafted gear feels useless. Are you planning to rebalance gear in order to address this? Well, the overall goal for endgame gear is that you use it to customize your playstyle. Some players want to focus on higher regeneration so they can cast a lot of expensive abilities, whereas others really want to have strong blocks or deal high fire damage. In the future, we will iterate on sets to make sure that their power levels achieve these goals.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
This one's by Thuster. When playing around with alchemy, I couldn't help but notice that it would be very convenient with an in-game notebook where you could write down recipes, things to remember, maybe the possibility to write down lore from your adventures and let other players read them in some way. Maybe in a bookshop where you could sell and buy books. So we love this idea. We think it's really cool, but we don't currently have any plans for this type of edition. But still, anytime you come up with a cool idea like this, we'd love to hear it, share it on the forums, let the community talk about it. You never know.
This question is from Saucy Jack.
What kind of sauce?
I don't know. Is it possible to have super rare loot or trophies that could be found either from chests, safe boxes, or pickpocketing that give actual bonuses not available anywhere else to players for having them in inventory? It would incentivize the players to do something more than just grind mobs. We currently do have monster and fishing trophies that are rare drops that you can collect, and we'd kind of like to expand that system to allow for more scavenger hunting style gameplay, but we don't really have any plans for them to provide direct character bonuses.
Okay. This next question is by Wenzu222B16_ESO.
I think you missed it too.
Oh. All right. Could you please give careful consideration to increasing the limit on the number of players allowed in one guild? We do get this question a lot too. The limit feels too small given the large influx of recent new players that are looking for an established guild to join. The 500 player cap is actually a result of both design and technical constraints, as the larger the guild is, the more data is sent out across its members constantly, and it becomes a bit more unwieldy when that happens, the larger the numbers. We don't currently have any plans to increase the guild size, but we do encourage you to join multiple guilds to help expand your inner social circles.
Here's a question from Logical, I don't know if it's supposed to be Fool or
Fuel.
Either way. He was asking, would you please start adding an estimated time of return for servers when you do maintenance? This is something we hear a lot. Well, sure. We'll start adding an estimated time when the servers come back up online from maintenance. But please understand that this is only going to be an estimate, and things happen that are out of our control, but we will start doing that.
Yay. That was an easy answer.
It was.
This one's
and it was
by
a positive one.
Yep. Next one is by Khmer Shadow. Will werewolf berserkers ever get a change in fur colors to differentiate from non-morphed werewolves? This is another one of those ideas that we really like, but we currently don't have any plans for werewolf color variations.
Here's one from Greeny Wolf, B17_ESO, asking, why is it most people that have played since beta got 4,700 to 5,000 crowns and I only got 3,200? Well, a small number of users didn't actually receive the correct amount of crowns when we initially deployed them at the start of Tamriel Unlimited last week. Was that last week? I think it was, right?
Yeah, the 17th.
Yeah. Gosh.
It's been a long week.
We have since resolved that issue, so you should have the correct amount of crowns now. In case you were wondering, when we did that whole crown deploy last week, you would have gotten 500 crowns for just owning the game, and then 100 crowns for every month previously subscribed, and 1,500 crowns for every month remaining on your subscription. So there's a little math for you.
Yep. This one is by Randolph Benoit. Why no children in the game? Feels unreal. Feels unreal. Only adults and chickens everywhere. I think there's pigs and cows too, right? So, for this one, we are a bit sworn to secrecy, but Hermaeus Mora knows.
All right, this question is from Arate RN. We're going with that. While somewhat discouraged, solo players do still exist in this game. As the lone wolves, or men and mer of Tamriel, we miss out on much, albeit by choice, and it has now been confirmed that in the most recent patch notes, we have been intentionally deprived of the benefits of ultimate synergies. When no other player is present, is it really necessary for solo players to be unable to activate the synergy on an ultimate they have earned? Well, synergies are rewards for players working together. The great part about our slotting system is you can have a wide variety of options available to customize your playstyle. Some ultimates are better for group play, like Consuming Darkness, because it protects all of your allies and gives them a synergy. Ultimates like Deathstroke are better for solo play because it only increases the ability caster's damage.
And this is our last question. This one is by Peterus. Do you plan on adding more evil choices to quests, and especially main zone chains, since they can't be skipped? It feels weird to play a criminal and go around helping and saving people. Dark side choices. We try not to have any overtly good or evil choices in the game, especially when we put in a choice in quests. Elder Scrolls is much more about morally ambiguous, the gray area in between good and evil. And that is it. That wraps up our Q&A. So next up, we're actually going to have a giveaway.
Another giveaway.
So this one is going to be for one of the Alliance hoodies, the Altmer, the Breton, or the Nord. We do currently have medium, large, and extra large. So please keep that in mind when you're entering.
We're going to be really clever today. The key word to enter is going to be hoodie.
Ooh, creative.
Hoodie. While everyone's kind of going crazy in chat typing hoodie, there were some questions about who to email your resume to that David Leeper mentioned. It's
Oh.
Rob Eckner, and his last name is spelled Echter. So you want to email rob.eckner@zenimaxonline.com. If you know programming or computer science, shoot him your resume. I know there are a couple people in chat like, I know computer science, who do I email?
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yes. So again, we're doing a hoodie giveaway. Type in hoodie. Everyone's going crazy. I just saw somebody try and type in his email, but this is not a good time.
Oh, yeah, not in chat, please.
Okay, so we're gonna have a winner. Again, remember, we only have medium, large, and extra large. The winner is Quiet50UL.
Congrats, Quiet.
So Quiet50UL, Jason will be in touch with you on Twitch. You will have your choice of one of these 3 lovely hoodies. And that's it.
All right, so next up, we're going to go over some ESO community events, things that you can do over the next week in-game that your fellow players are hosting.
Wow.
All right, so every week, some of our ESO community runs in-game events. These are largely associated with the roleplay guilds and community, which we have a wonderful one in this game. And we've got some new and recurring offerings to show you this week. So let's take a look. So this is the Commemoration Masquerade. This is for Altmary Dominion members on the North American Mega Server. It's this Saturday, March 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time at the Falmore Headquarters Terrace in Woodhearth. Woodhearth is actually a place where a lot of the roleplay events for Altmary Dominion on North American Mega Server happen.
Next, we have the second tournament of the champions. When was the first one?
I'm not sure.
Well, this one is going to be Saturday, March 28th, and also Sunday, March 29th at 9 p.m. CEST. This is going to be on the Children campaign over in Cyrodiil on the European Mega Server. So if you're a PvP lover, you are encouraged to meet for 2 evenings for some massive confrontations.
Next up is the Player Live Auction. This is a long-running event that happens every Saturday. Next one is March 28th, and then April 4th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. This is run by the Blue Skooma Company, and this is in Marbrook in Greenshade for Altmary Dominion members on the North American Mega Server.
Next, we have the ESO Fashion Carnival. This is a new roleplay event. We actually found it on our forums.
Sounds like a lot of fun. They're putting a lot of work into it.
They definitely are. They have models and photographers. It's going to be this whole huge thing. It's going to be this Sunday, March 29th, around 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be on the European, I can't read, the North American Mega Server. The location is still TBD, but it will be Ebonheart packed.
And this is our final event, I believe. This is the Tavern Night for new or shy RPers. So if you've always wanted to get into role-playing, or you're one of those lurkers who hangs back and watches the role-play events, we know who you are. You want to say hi? This is the perfect event for you. This one's on Monday, March 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time in Fells Run Inn. That's for Daggerfall Covenant members on the North American Mega Server.
This is the last one.
I lied.
The day that never was. Oh man,
There's
I lied
2 more.
too. There's more.
Sorry.
Just kidding, just kidding. This is going to be Wednesday, April 1st at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time in Ebonheart City for North American Mega Server players. If you have any questions about that, you can contact the Human Floyd, who we actually spoke with a few shows ago.
He runs a lot of events.
Yes, he does.
This is one for miscellaneous Valenwood events. So different roleplay events will take place as part of this new series of events for Altmary Dominion members. First up, they're going to have a Gore race. I've got to see that.
Wow.
This one's on Wednesday, April 1st. I hope this is actually a thing and they're not just trolling us for April 1st.
I know.
This one happens at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and every Monday and Wednesday at 10 p.m. in Valenwood, which again is for Altmary Dominion members, and this is on the North American Mega Server.
unofficial tavern night. This is another one that's been pretty long running. It's Tuesdays. There's another one April 3rd at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the North American Mega Server. This is for Daggerfall Covenant players. So you should attend so you can chat, drink, and flirt.
Well, you
With
know,
your
if you're
fellow
drinking, the
players.
flirting comes in hand, right?
This is true. Well, that just about wraps up the show, so thanks for joining us. Oh, just kidding. You probably want the Alliance War Q&A, don't you? Well, that is coming up next. I know. Trollolol. The Q&A with Brian Wheeler is coming up next.
It's gold.
All right. So, hi, Brian.
Sorry, I was looking at the feet. I couldn't resist.
So here's Brian Wheeler, our lead PvP designer, here
Hi.
to answer some questions. You ready?
Hi, guys.
So,
Hi.
real quick, why don't you go over what you are in charge of? I know sometimes there's a lot of misconceptions about what you can and can't change.
What I am in charge of and not in charge of.
Yeah.
Right. Basically anything involved with the Cyrodiil warfare in terms of the campaigns, with keeps, with siege warfare, with scoring, with basically anything involved with the fighting in there except for player abilities and how combat actually functions. Kind of the best way I word it is if you're familiar with, let's say, baseball, for example. I like the Orioles. I can't help it.
I think you're familiar.
I handle, three strikes and you're out, 4 balls, get a walk. Those kind of rules. There's 4 bases, but I don't handle that you can throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's kind of the easy way to describe what I do.
Let's see. So we will be taking some questions from chat. We also pulled a lot of questions from the forums. I don't have my document open.
So we have a
Sorry.
few selections, as Gina mentioned, that we're going to go over, and after that we'll see what we've got in chat. But I know the big elephant in the room is, well, one of them is Imperial City. I know we can't talk too much about it, but what can you tell us right now?
So Imperial City, I know there's a wonderful video on the internet about it, but I can say that it's been in development. It's been in development for a while, and one of the good things about ESO is that it's an MMO that progresses and evolves. So with that progression, we've added champion levels, we've added new gear, we've added Craglorn, new things to do, and Imperial City has to evolve to keep up with that and give a new experience altogether.
Right.
So that's kind of why it's gone through several iterations internally, and we've tested it over and over, and we've seen, well, we can add this to it, or we can add that to it. So that's why it's taken a while. Making those things isn't quick and easy to do changes like that.
People have data mined some of it already.
Yeah, people have found some things, and it's fine. But what you have data mined may not be what you see in the final product. And again, we're still fine-tuning it. We're still adding more to it, figuring out all the experiences we want in there to make it worthwhile.
I think we
So,
can probably
more to go.
tease like a little piece of art
Sure.
from Imperial City.
Yeah.
Yes,
Maybe.
Brian. There it is.
Look at that. So that's kind of one of the inside views of a district. The wall on the taller wall on the inside is sort of the inner wall that would go to White Gold Tower if you're looking down an alleyway. This is sort of the feel we're going for in there.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of Cold Harbor.
Yeah, Cold. I mean, the big anchor's there. You see it when
Yeah.
you're in Cyrodiil. So yeah, sort of the whole Cold Harbor bad feel. Bad things are happening in Imperial City, and you go handle it.
Cool.
We'll talk more about that later.
Yep.
Not later today. Later.
Later. All right, so the first question we have is from Dovahkiin himself.
Ooh.
He is asking, siege damage, intended or not?
Intended, yeah. It's supposed to hit hard. We, in line with kind of what Paul was talking about of wanting players to spread out, and with sort of the Zerg Buster thoughts that have come out recently, we wanted Siege to hurt again. Not only because it helps break people up and kill them and make them have to respawn, but also it gets back to the war. That's the bigger aspect of Cyrodiil. It's a war. It's not a huge battleground. It's not a small place where you go well, people fight on the bridges like crazy, and that's awesome too. But it's not meant to be a battleground style experience. It's meant to be a war. That being said, the siege damage for a while had been kind of toned down. It didn't really catch up with the veteran ranks that have been increased, the gear that had been introduced.
Champion
So,
system.
yeah, and champion system. So that being said, it's not supposed to hit as hard as it does. I know that you mentioned this earlier. I got my little book, which Eric Roble and gang did a quick change of some things to make it so that these abilities don't affect siege weaponry come the next patch. So which basically means this weekend people are going to go wild using these. But things like standard of might, combat prayer, elemental expert, these abilities which increase damage as a whole, they weren't supposed to increase damage 80 meters away. They were supposed to increase damage right here. Where the fight is happening between players. So
and
they've done the change for that.
last we heard, those are still in testing. So it might be this patch, might be the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's supposed to hit hard, but not as hard as some of the numbers
Not
that
like
we've been
50K
seeing.
damage.
Yeah.
Okay. So this question is by Eldarth. Can you tell us anything specific about the lag investigation? So that's another big one is
Lag.
latency,
There's lag?
game
Is there
performance.
There's lag. I want to say there's lag.
I think there's lag.
But that would be
I might have heard.
I know everybody's pitchforking
Yeah.
and torturing me on Twitch, but there's several things that we're looking at. There's the performance of your client. When I say your client, your computer. Whether you're hitching there with a bunch of spell effects going off, or whether you're standing still and then you snap to one location, or when you're sitting there, you're whacking away like crazy, nothing's happening. All three of those are issues that we're trying to handle and cover. And a lot of the videos that have been getting posted recently have helped out. Our engineers are doing what they can to dig through these, the videos to see what's going on. We have a graph that we look at pretty much every day that gives us frame rate spikes. And when I say frame rate, I mean how many messages the server is handling in any given frame. And we see those spikes, and when they spike really high, we know that there's a lag spike, and that's something we need to fix. That being said, we have identified some things recently that shouldn't have been causing some extra messages to the server. Things with Caltrips was going a little bit crazy with line of sight checks, so that's going to be addressed on Monday. And there's some other things where Meteor was proccing a little bit more than it should have from a certain set.
Right.
Eric has done a good job finding that and narrowing that down and getting it so that you might not see Meteor flying off as much as it has. And I'm not saying Meteor's the issue. I'm saying that there are tons and tons and tons of things that the guys need to find, and that's just a few of them that we're finding every week.
Cool.
Something else that we've been seeing a lot of is population imbalances. You want to talk about that?
That's population imbalance doesn't exist. Well, so it exists as population's going up and population's coming down. Obviously, lately with Tamriel Unlimited, the queues are back up.
Yep.
And we are aware of the queues as well. But during the prime times, population imbalance isn't so big of a worry, but it's when it's starting to wane off of prime time or lead up towards it. That's when things get a little rough. I've looked at maybe adjusting the scoring imbalance bonuses and the population imbalance bonuses. I know that right now they pull a little bit slow. They usually go once every hour or once every 2 hours. We're looking at maybe speeding that up to kind of give the imbalance a better chance to catch up. Because I know that some people have posted that the imbalance system doesn't seem to work. It's just that, when you get the imbalance bonus, it has to last for a little while for you to be able to catch up. So that duration for how long it lasts may be a bit too long. So we're looking to shorten that up. Plus there's been more radical ideas recently proposed. Things like changing the scoring would adjust some of that, or removing scoring entirely. Now granted, that doesn't fix the minute-to-minute fighting of, there's just 3 of us versus 50, insert alliance name here. I'm not supposed to give favorites. But we know that that's an issue too, and trying to come up with ways to combat that, like the siege weaponry has been one of them to try and help with that for the time being.
Okay. This question is by Squisha. Can we have it so PvP bonuses only apply to PvP, not PvE? Why do players that do not PvP get to assign themselves to a buff server and benefit?
campaign, not a, yeah, I know everybody calls it a buff server, yeah. One of the original goals for ESO was to give you a sense that you're part of a greater war. While you're running around in Oregon, you still know that there's buddies fighting for you in Cyrodiil. And part of the reason of getting the bonuses from your friends helping out in the war was to kind of gel everybody together.
Right.
That's in the ideal world, but in reality, you guys have noted that there's the buff servers, which have started to wane a little bit with the influx of players. I know the scoring and the current footholds that guilds have on various campaigns is still retaining that. But we can shut it off, but it would look a little weird on the UI right now. We would need some more time to get it to actually display, if it's only a PvP bonus, that when you look at the bonuses window, it just shows you that it's active while you're in Cyrodiil. If we did it right now, it would still give you the impression that you're getting the bonuses while you're running around in PvE
Might be
land.
confusing.
Yeah, and I mean, if anything, we want to make sure that the UI is as clear as it can possibly be when it comes to what bonuses you're getting from Cyrodiil.
Okay.
Here's one from Gyudan asking, are you, I know, are you planning to reopen more campaigns with the influx of new players?
Right. Right now we're looking at the total queues across, Europe and the U.S. separately, and then within individual campaigns. And when they get to a certain point where it makes Matt or Paul go, oh my God, we need to open them up right now or else we're going to come kill you, we'll open them up. It hasn't gotten to the point where it's deemed as ridiculously, oh my God, we need to open them, because opening up more campaigns is great for relieving a pressure valve right now, but we don't want to run into the case where we add another campaign that people could just use as a buff server. So it's not just simply adding, here's another campaign. There's some other things we would need to do, like making the buffs only be in PvP only to kind of discourage some of that, let's treat this new campaign as a buff campaign. So, I mean, while I know that the queues are starting to rise a bit in Thornblade, we are aware that we can do other things to help alleviate that, along with opening up another campaign. Not the same we're doing right now, but we're looking.
Okay. This question is from Cody. What about new siege engines, ladders, and the like?
Ladders and the like.
Chad is asking that too, like stuff that
Where's
they've
siege
seen in the
engines?
trailers, or like scaling
Oh,
walls.
that Blur trailer. So first time I saw that Blur trailer, one of the guys I know at Bethesda, Eric, he showed it to me. I went, "That's cool, but we can't do flying bridges and all this stuff." But what we can do, we can add new weaponry, new ammo, and new ammo. Did you talk about that earlier? Okay, so there may be new ammo coming into the game that would be Cold Harbor-y in theme. But new weapons like, I know people have asked for siege towers that you wheel into place.
Or something that allows you to scale walls.
Yeah, scale walls. We've talked, a long time ago we had the idea of the Batman grappling hook where you shoot right up. That still has some possibilities to do because that kind of echoes a little bit to those shooty bridges, but not all the way. But things where they're moving collision or collision that appears, there's a lot of things that Cyrodiil has to watch, keep track of, the key pieces, the player abilities, the monsters, the guards, trying to keep track of all that, and then adding in moving physics or moving collision would make the lead programmer want to punch me in the head. So some of those things we don't do because it's a little bit more stress than would be able to handle with what's already happening with the physics out there. So this is kind of a reason why rams in siege weaponry don't have collision already. Because not only moving collision would be a major stress, but also the fact of a door breaks down, I drop a ram, and now you can't get in.
Right.
So, I mean, friendly or foe, that would be a big problem. So.
Well, here's one from Etaniel asking, do you have plans to add other capturable objectives to the map?
Yeah, we've thought about adding what we nicknamed floating objectives, like what people are familiar with in battleground games or arena games like CTF, Murder Ball, Multi-Ball, adding those possibly in the towns. We had talked about doing that a while ago. There have been some complications in doing that because simply adding a new flag out there isn't as easy as it sounds. Because right now everything is attached to either a keep or a resource or a scroll temple. having, let's say, an Elder Scroll out in the wild that can just roam freely is a little bit of code time and tech work in UI that we need to get in there to work. But it would be cool to add in, you know, a CTF match in Shaden Hall. The space is built perfectly for that. It's divided in two. And then maybe adding, sort of bringing back an idea of murder ball, but not, you know, I'm running around with a beam on me, but I have like Oriole's bow, therefore I hit people like a Mack truck. But if you kill me, the bow drops, and you know, that's some ideas that we've thought about. It would be cool to get those in. I can't guarantee that they would get in, but we've talked about adding more into Cyrodiil, yeah.
Cool. This one's from Cree Havoc. Has the PvP team considered experimenting with new campaigns that have different rule sets to others, similar to how Blackwater Blade has the rule of being non-veteran only?
Yeah. At one point, we did have the veteran-only campaign, and this was also when we were dealing with condensing the campaigns and the population. The problem with having some of these specialized rule sets is that the population isn't there to fill it. We already divide the population in three with the different alliances. And then we already have another division right now with veteran and non-veteran players, the veteran players not being able to go in the non-veteran campaigns. But that's not stopping the non-veteran players from going into the other campaigns.
Right.
So it starts to get into a sheer, simple mathematical situation where, well, if all the veterans want to fight each other, they could go in there and fight each other, but we saw that it really didn't happen that much. So while the idea was great, there are some other things we thought about where we make one campaign, scrolls are the only thing that count for scoring. Or we do another campaign where just resources count for scoring. So we've thought about some scoring ideas, but in terms of population separation, we kind of learned the lesson that there's non-vet is good, and letting everybody else jump into the pool and other types of campaigns is good. But adding more splits is a bad idea. So if we did anything else, it would probably more like scoring changes or different types of gameplay modes that anybody can play.
Okay. This would be fun.
That'd be crazy. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Another one from Cry Havoc. Has the PvP team considered experimenting with? Oh my gosh!
You just read that. Yeah, we have. We did.
I totally highlighted the wrong words. Oh, reading. All right, just kidding. Here's the real one. Collisions in Cyrodiil. What do you think about them from a technical point of view and for PvP opportunities?
We kind of talked about it a little bit just a minute ago, but collision always sounds great. It always sounds awesome. But then you have to deal with your friends blocking your way, or the enemies that you don't want to, you're trying to target the guy behind you and he's blocking your way, or a siege weapon is blocking your way. I mean, sure, you could do some things where you push against it for maybe 5 seconds and then you go through. And the idea of rank and file always sounds cool, but all it takes is one guy to run up and act like a wrecking ball and hit a knockback, and then that goes away. So, I mean, it always sounds cool. And I've played in games where collision is there, and it's fun. But I think in the war aspect of Cyrodiil, of trying to have siege weaponry make a difference and have players fighting over keeps and with destructible walls, sometimes collision will be, again, a bit much that the server needs to deal with handling. It sounds cool, but
that sort of thing could negatively impact performance,
it could negatively impact performance for sure.
Okay. All right, this is from Luna Ray. What are your thoughts on arenas? I understand ZOS is against the idea of breaking apart the PvP community between Cyrodiil and other PvP zones, but have you looked into how to break apart the exciting elements of arenas and how they could be implemented into Cyrodiil? Imperial City is exciting, and in this regard, for me, it looks like a new element to Cyrodiil, so I'm hoping it's one step closer to seeing something closer to arenas for PvPers in ESO.
Well, I like the idea of having sport-style matches like CTF, like multi-ball. We've talked a little bit about putting those maybe into Cyrodiil. Having short duration, maybe 15-20 minute battles would be cool to add in there. It would give everybody a fix. You know, I have 15 minutes before I get dinner finished. I go over there, play a game real quick, come back out. Because in Cyrodiil, it takes a while to get to a fight. Again, that's part of the fact that it's a war. But it would be good to add something like this for giving a short-term, short fix, get a little bit of alliance points, progress your character, hop back out, go do what you have to do in the real world, because we all know that's not a lot of time can be spared towards gaming for everybody. That being said, the thought of Imperial City having a different feel, there'll be a different feel to Imperial City than Cyrodiil for sure, but it's not going to be battlegroundy in that type of sport sense.
Okay.
Well, here's a question from Luna Ray. What? No, I'm just kidding.
You're on a roll today.
I know. It's Friday. Lone Pirate asking, are there any plans to mix up the design of keeps, such as putting the flags on different levels, changing the layout of keeps, replacing the flags with powerful NPCs?
We toyed around with putting the flag inside towers. At Resources, we toyed around with putting flags on every corner or bastion, as it's technically called, at a keep. We've toyed with putting one of the flags when you're going up the ramps, and that's in that third-ish level, all the way in the roof. We've toyed around with that, but a lot of those we haven't done just yet. Play testing that is a bit of a trick, because we need to get all of the keeps to do that at once, because if you see one that's a favorite, everybody's like, well, that's a play style I'll just do. But yeah, there have been considerations of moving the flags around. The most recent into towers has been one. We can't move it on the roof, because the whole thing collapses. So if we moved it anywhere, we would move it into just the lower portion. And then if we did that, we'd probably have to get rid of the door on the towers. But it's some ideas of moving the flags around. Now, changing the architecture of a keep, that we wouldn't be able to do that for a long time. Takes a lot of artists to build those keeps. Not only just the fact of just building them so they stand and look cool, but having them go through all the destructible states that they have to go through. That takes a long time for those guys to do
Animations,
it.
lighting.
It looks great. Everything that the art team and the effects team have done, it's amazing, and it gets you that feeling of when you're watching an old school siege movie and you see a fireball come in and hit the wall and it crumbles and the dust flies. It's like perfect, but it took a long time to get that way.
Okay. This is by J. Torres. How can we, as players, help you to improve things? There are many of us out there that witness glitches, lag, exploits, and so on. What is the best method to put information in your hands to ensure that you can address issues rapidly?
Well, first and foremost, the forum posts are great. Seeing information directly, not only just for the Alliance War, but for the combat team. Robo gets a lot of good information from that too.
Yep.
Videos of this is the lag that I'm experiencing, or this is the performance issue I'm experiencing, or this is when everybody was standing still and then we all shot around. Like, those videos are good because it gives our engineers a window about what's going on right then and there, because those guys can't be online all the time watching what's going on. But watching those videos gives them an opportunity to reproduce it internally. And if we can reproduce what those issues are, then we can try nailing down what's going on. Other things regarding the E word you said, exploits. Players can appeal in game.
Yep.
Call out the players that you see. Call out the behavior that they're doing. We will do what we can to find them and reproduce whatever they're doing on our end in terms of developers, like the gate jumping. I have something coming in for that later. Not in recent patches, but it'll be coming in later to keep the scrolls more intact and safe. But things where people seem to have perpetual shields and health, videoing that and giving them to us and letting Eric look at it and letting me look at it and letting our engineers look at it is one of the best ways that we can nail that down and find out if there's an exploit or just a loophole.
Yep. Okay.
So, can we just clarify, this is not pre-recorded, we are live,
Oh, yeah.
for everybody wondering.
Oh, is it pre-recorded?
Some people think it is. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is it because the Q&A you did with Test Nation, we did pre-record
Oh, yeah.
out
that
of
was
necessity to do
Sure.
that? Yes, but this is a live show.
Speaking of that Q&A that you did, there's a little bit of confusion about plans to make Emperor sellable. Did you want to just clarify that real quick?
Yeah. That was a discussion of what could we do versus you know, like in the fairy tale end of, hey, ideas that you guys have talked about, what's
Ideas that
realistic,
we've seen,
right?
suggested.
What's
Yeah.
realistic? What can be done
Right.
like right now? What would be complete system reworks? Some of the ideas that were mentioned in that were, you know, these are things we have thought about in the past, but we didn't implement. These are ways that we could change things right now. And I know that ditching leaderboards is one of the things that people were concerned about happening if we made any changes. And we wouldn't change that aspect because that's kind of core to what it is right now. If we changed the Emperor system, it would be changed wholesale, but leaderboards would still stay intact because
Right.
people like to see their names on top of the list. So we wouldn't get rid of that. I mean, there's leaderboards for doing other aspects of the game, right?
Dungeons,
So
trials.
there's no point in saying, well, the leaderboards for PvP are now gone too. So we keep that. Don't worry. And we're not trying to sell emperorship. I know that the Crown Store makes people conspiracy theory like crazy. Like, we took the camps away because we're going to sell them on the store.
No.
Oh, what else do we have here? I'm kind of trying to just go through some questions from chat. Somebody was asking if we would ever see PvP in Dragonstar Arena or even open world PvP, just anything outside of Cyrodiil.
There have been talks about that at one point, but not in the cards right now. Everybody wants to keep the PvP focused in Cyrodiil, in its caves, and in Imperial City.
Okay. I think we had one more question written down here.
Oh, sure.
It's by Moiser. So there's not much of a limit to human creativity, so I'm guessing players manage to surprise devs on more than one occasion. In PvP, what are some of your biggest WTF, what are they doing moments, either during beta or after?
That's a great question.
I know.
I know.
I wouldn't call it a what are they doing, but it was a that's clever. And it was a while ago, but it was really fun watching this and participating in it when a scroll got boosted from Aldmeri, and it was getting ran north. They got to Farragill, and there's a farmhouse nearby. It's one that can't be destroyed. It's not a tower. It's just a regular old structure. And they took it in there. And you can get up inside the second level, and siege weaponry cannot blow up this farmhouse. So Aldmeri was on one side, Daggerfall was on the other, and it was a group of Ebonheart guys inside. And we were just lobbing away at it, and they were just farming AP like crazy. It was cool. I love the idea, like that they went and did that, and that's really cool. They made their own little mini game of survival. And then I think that was the one time where I've seen a Green Alliance where we went, all right, let's go in and get them because this is getting ridiculous. And that was fun. That was really cool that they took the CTF game and treated it sort of like a murder ball game for a moment or two.
Right.
I think it lasted for maybe a half hour or 45 minutes when they did that.
Wow.
It was really cool. It was fun. But that was probably my biggest, that's clever. Tricky. I like it.
Everyone just keeps asking about dueling.
Dueling.
Dueling either
yeah.
same alliance or
Right.
against others. Like what's
Right now, there's
what's
no
happening?
plans for dueling. I know it's been requested like crazy. I know that people have made fight clubs. There's like, go out here, go to this place, we'll all fight, we'll duel. To be clear, that is not against the TES,
The toss.
the TOS. Sorry.
Unless you're actively farming.
Unless
but
you're
we
farming,
can see when you're
yeah.
doing that
Yeah.
via
Right.
logs.
Right.
Crazy Mad Sai, she actually streams a lot. She was asking who your favorite O's player is.
Oh,
Just-
geez. It
just a
used to
fun
be
one.
Marcakis.
Me too.
Sad.
Him and Roberts were.
Roberts?
I liked him.
I will say
I did.
right now my favorite's O'Day. Because the way he pitches is kind of how Jason and I
Yeah.
throw the ball sidearm.
Yep.
Oh, one of the
like
side
with the
ones.
side-
Yep.
Yeah, but he pitches and he's ridiculously accurate with it.
That's how Torin broke his arm, isn't
Yes,
it?
it
One of
is.
our
One of
artists.
our artists. So yeah, softball.
Never again.
Don't do it. If you are a weekend warrior softball player,
You know.
just be careful.
Game developers playing softball. That was a bad idea.
So many trips to the ER.
Yeah.
Any more hashtag fix PvPs? I saw a lot.
There's
of
a
those
lot
back
of
there.
those. There's what was it? Ballista Confessions.
I like the Ballista Confession ones. Now that's been one that's been interesting to see, like the communication back and forth between the players on the board since the siege change.
Right.
has been, I want to say, more constructive, back and forth,
It
which has been great. Some
And
people
the
appreciate it.
30K, 40K, and the
Yeah.
screenshots of that
Oh,
helped us figure out that there
Like,
was a
wait
bug.
a minute, yeah.
Oh, let's see. There's a lot of questions here that is not for Brian.
Sorry, guys.
I mean, I guess you can guess.
I'm not gonna guess a combat,
combat
question
and
because then
gameplay,
Robo
yeah.
will come.
He'll come running
He'll
down.
come
"What are you
punch me in the neck.
doing?"
Yeah. We're fine. It's the PvP team. That's what.
Oh, now they're all going hashtag fix PvP.
There it is.
Forward camps.
Mhm.
Somebody's
Oh, yeah,
asking,
forward
you know,
camps,
why'd
yeah.
you take them away? Are they coming back? What's the deal?
Well, right now people still have a stockpile that are starting to appear because we went with the buy to play and Tamriel Unlimited. People flooding back that have played the game that have those camps still, so they still exist. But we do have some plans to change them. I don't know if they're going to come back after that point. One, resin within the circle or the radius that appears on your map is one of the big changes. I want to shrink that radius to be maybe the size of a keep only, to make it where if you see a forward camp being dropped, you know, this is where we're going to defend, or this is where we're trying to force an assault. Plus the smaller radius gets rid of blood porting, with you only be able to resurrect within the radius. Those two pieces are in, but the last bit of having a sort of a universal resurrection timer where if you use a forward camp, you can't use one again for X period of time.
Yep.
That sort of works. On the server side, it recognizes it, but there's nothing telling you on your screen when you die, hey, you can't resurrect another forward camp for X period of time. We'd like to get that in and test it internally before we push it to like PTS for people to try and say, yeah, this is good, or dear God, don't bring them back. So I know that's polarized just as much as the siege damage changes recently.
Something that comes up a lot, although it's a bit more of a kind of would be nice type of thing, is guild crests on flags.
yeah.
And flags.
Yeah, on keep flags.
Yep.
Banners.
That goes right up there with another one of those. If we can get the art time to do it and the code time to get those things displayed, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's another way to show guild pride.
Yep.
Not only you know on the walls, have your banners there, but also on the guards themselves. Having them have your tabard would be great. But that's another one of those things of be great to have. I don't know when we're going to be able to get it.
Right. Okay. But it is something you're
Oh yeah,
entertaining.
we actually would love to have that for sure.
Okay.
Well, I think that just about wraps it up. But before you leave, you have to put the nutch on your head.
Why? Oh man.
They are just
Are they saying
insisting?
nuts on my head?
dying.
Now should it be like a face hugger or should it just go on my head?
I think just right on the head.
Well, you've got the
Got to take the hat off. No?
This is the wait. That's the
Perfect.
butt. This is the head.
That-
There you go.
No, that's the
That's
that's
the
the
butt.
butt.
I thought this was the butt.
Yeah. Don't troll him. Oh.
And the
Wow.
internet memes will go crazy.
Well,
It'll be sad.
Thank you, Brian.
Sure,
now that
no
we
problem.
did that, I think it's time for one last giveaway.
Okay.
Now that this has been on my head.
Yes.
Yay.
Well, we're not giving that away.
Aw.
We are going to give away a bunch of just little random goodies.
I think we've got some of them here.
Because of that, you're going to type in goodies in chat.
So we have ESO wallet.
Very cool.
And a keychain.
And look,
And
a mug.
So these three
Super exclusive.
will come to you as ESO goodie pack.
So type in goodies into chat. There you go. Everyone's going
It's
crazy.
actually a really nice
Crazy when
mug.
it
It's
just
very
goes
heavy.
wild.
Yeah.
See?
Look at that. It just.
Yeah.
Now, did you get points if you spell it with capitals or no?
No, it's
No.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
You do have to spell it right, though. I see some people saying cookies, and that's not that's not the word, you guys. Goodies. All right. Well, let's get a winner. It is Raz55.
Ooh, I wonder if he's a Razumdar fan.
Maybe.
Think so.
Not
Maybe.
Raz54, but 55 is our last winner for
Congrats,
today.
Raz.
Congratulations. Jason will be in touch with you on Twitch chat, either in your inbox or your other tab. Check them all.
And that wraps up our show. So thank you so much for watching and tuning in. We will be back on April 10th, 2 weeks
April
from now.
already.
I
Oh
know.
my gosh.
I know.
We'd love to hear what you thought of today's show. If you have any feedback for us, be sure and post it on the forums. We'll take a look.
And if you have any ESO in-game and live events, any art, music, photos of you with your netch on your head once they ship out, we would love to see them. Send them to us at community@elderscrollsonline.com.
I got it. Yeah.
Well, with that, we will see you in Tamriel. So have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Bye.
Bye.